good tires, and suspension. Another thing, when we're doing scrutiny on vehicles, a lot of the novices come with their vehicles no battery plan. That's a typical problem. They forget to empty the car. They have books, they have fruits, they have shoes, drinks, whatever in the back of the car rolling around. They arrive late to the event. Party the night before, don't take it serious, come down here. We're supposed to start at 10 o'clock and you reach here at 9:30. I'm not going to cut it. This one is a big one. Overconfidence. You know, most of the guys or most of the amateurs, they come here and they think, well, you know, I could drive good on the road, I can zip in and out, I have a nice Civic SR. Most of the times I beat everybody. Right? So, you know, they come up here thinking that this is easy. You look at it from the outside and it really does look slow when you stand outside here and you look, it looks very slow. So it's very easy to get fooled with that. But you have to remember, autocross is all about precision driving. Let's compare it to Formula 1. We don't do the speeds that Formula 1 will do, right? But we have to make a turn probably 100 times more than any of those Formula 1 drivers will have to do in a very short space of time. They have linked, look at the track, it's not very big. They have linked turns. So what I'm trying to tell you is, all those tight turns that come to you so fast, if you have 50 of those on a typical Solar X track, and you do that in 1 minute, that is 50 different points for you to make mistakes and lose time. Right? They don't marshal, they tend to sit in tents. You? They don't go out, they'll stand here and they'll watch. And they don't realize that if you go outside there and marshal at a corner, you'll actually see what the good friend Rabbit might be doing wrong at the corner. And then you might see where's Pete. Pete left already. You might see David doing the correct thing at the corner. So the whole thing is trying to go outside there. The sun might be hot, it might be raining, walk with your umbrella. But the best thing really and truly to learn is to go outside there and see what's going on. Alright, another typical error, failure to look ahead on the course. Right, I think you were caught up with that in the last one. So you see one corner, you concentrate, you start your Solar X course, you reach your first corner, you get it right, and then you forget that right after that was a left and then a right, and you screw up those next two corners. They tend to use the brakes completely wrong. We're talking about early and late braking. The number of times I've seen novices start and they come up to a corner, you see brake light come on, come off, come on, come off, come on, and then you see still. That tells you that you're just mashing brakes way too low. They had this Formula 1 driver that said novices or amateurs, he said they tend to drive slow corners too fast and fast corners too slow. That's a typical error of most beginners. For those of you who don't know what the apex of a corner is, what curve is, we'll explain it. But that's another typical error that novices make. They enter the corner completely off race line. They go into the corner, and when they come out to the corner, they tend to hit the accelerator too early. Alright, and they'll tend to stomp on it. And the last one, they're not using the entire track. You have a track out there, you have cones, but wherever there's not cones, you're allowed to use. So if you're coming up to a corner, best thing to do is to swing out as wide as you possibly can to carry your speed through and continue. Right? So that's just typical errors that novices make. You want to understand?
That's one of the things that they were talking about. Looking at the corners, a typical error that a beginner will make is tend to focus on where your car is. Right? What you should be doing, you'll find that the more advanced drivers, what they do, their focus is always on where the car is going to be next. right? You're not focusing on where you currently are on the track. When you do that, you can actually lose sense of the position of your car. For example, if God forbid you're losing control of your car on the track, but you don't know where the car is supposed to be going next, it's very difficult for you to control the car and keep it on the correct course because you don't really know where the car is supposed to be going. So let's say you're getting a spin, or probably you're getting a big oversteer on a corner, right? You'll find a lot of novices, what will happen, they'll correct the car, but in correcting the car will end up facing the wrong way, or they come off the gas in the middle of the spin, right? And if it's a front wheel drive car, when you do that, the car may spin more, right? Or if you mash the brakes on a front wheel drive, a rear wheel drive car, you might tend to get bite and then the car will start to go forward, right? But when you focus on where the car is supposed to be going, you're thinking about the next corner, it's very easy for you to maintain control of the car, right? I remember I was looking at a Formula 1 race a few years ago, and Michael Schumacher was driving, and the commentators, they were looking at the car from the outside, but you would always see this guy looking at the next corner that was coming up, right? He already in the apex of this corner, but his eyes are already on the next corner, right? Something, a habit to develop. Always keep an eye on the corner that you want to do it. Right?
I should mention that, Solvex is we talk about what we said is very difficult. It is precision driving, and you have 1 minute typical lap time to get all these things correct or get everything wrong. Typical difference between a car in a class who's doing it right and the guy who's doing it wrong might be 3 or 4 seconds. But every corner that you screw up and you get, you make a little mistake, might be a 0.2 of a second or 0.4 of a second, and so we go. The whole thing is practice. You're not going to get it overnight unless you're a real talented driver like Christopher Ramnat or Moses, It really takes a lot of practice. I remember when I started in 2000, I didn't win my first event until a year and a half. It took me a year and a half to win my first event. Alright? So, moving on, we want to start, the first thing we want to start with, seating position. So y'all can just come this way for the demonstration. First thing, your optimum seating position for a typical road car. Remember, road cars are not Formula 1 cars, right? So we're not supposed to be nearly lying down on our back, nearly back seat, right? A lot of novices do that. They tend to put this part here way back. You're actually supposed to angle it. You're actually supposed to angle it nearly straight so that your forearms, when they hold the steering wheel, you have a little angle here, right? Nearly 45 degrees. The whole idea is if you stretch out like this to hold the steering wheel, you have to unlock your elbows to make a good rapid movement, say that if you get in trouble. And besides that, anything that's so far away from you, it's harder for you to turn. When it's closer, it's a lot easier. Alright? So that's the first thing. Next thing is pedals. You're supposed to be able to depress all the pedals and still have a little arch in your knee. So if you have to move it forward, move it back, do whatever you have to do, but try not to have to stretch out. Like I'll see a lot of beginners do it. Right? That's seating position. You want to move to holding the steering wheel properly. No, you do. Right. What you learned at driving school, they actually told you to hold the steering wheel at the 10 o'clock, 2 o'clock position. I think that's what 3/4. Right. For racing, that's wrong. Without a doubt, that is wrong. What they recommend is holding it at 9 o'clock, 3 o'clock. You see where David has his thumbs? That's perfect. Next thing is, don't grip the steering wheel like a dead grip. And don't hold it like Moses going on the road checking out the chicks, whatever. Right? The whole idea with holding the steering wheel is nice firm grip, but not too firm. They actually recommend that when you're driving the course, every now and then you actually release your thumbs and flex them a little bit. Right? So that's how you know you have a good grip. The actual steering, no. A lot of people, a lot of the experts say don't cross your arms over. Right? I am actually one of those people who believe that that's actually the best way to steer. See, the one with you, right? Until the arms start to lock. Not so much. Back up a little, right? Back up a little, back up a little. Right. The whole idea of holding the steering wheel and turning it and locking your arms over partially means that you will know where it's center. So you go into a corner, you turn hard. When you come out to the corner, you know exactly where the steering is, where it's center, right? The thing is, there are tight turns that you will require that you have to move your arms, move your hands. What they recommend is don't move your hands in the middle of a corner. So you don't start a corner and you realize, oops, I need more lock and shift. That's upset the whole car, right? What I recommend is you're going into a tight corner, you're looking ahead, so you can see the course, you know that it's going to be a tight corner. Move your, if it's a right hand, move your right hand up a little bit, shift your left on the straightaway before the corner so it's safe, and then look for that corner, and then now you have more lock to cross over. The other school of thought, so you get a lot more lock. The other school of thought says leave one hand on the steering wheel and hold one hand only. So that would be that would be something like that. So you're going into right hander, you leave your left hand there and you move the right hand only and you just turn like that. That's actually what the other school of thought is. The advantage of that, they say, is because if you get in trouble, one hand is firmly on the steering wheel at all times. Any questions about steering? Ramon? Supposed to really be moving your hand in when I say shifting it on the steering wheel. You're supposed to be with a general lock and you turn to wherever. But if you can't get secret, that is actually the disadvantage of the 9 o'clock, 3 o'clock and crossing over that. You see that is the biggest disadvantage. Right? When you get to that point, you get in trouble, you will have to do it. Right? It's just my preference. I prefer to do the crossover. And when I see a tight corner coming up, I will adjust my steering grip for the corner. Right? Barry, you have anything to add? Cross your arm. No. It's two schools of thought. The next thing is they say you can actually put a piece of tape in the middle of your steering wheel here. A little piece of fluorescent tape or whatever. And visually that helps you to know exactly where is the center of your steering wheel. That's it for that part. You can have a seat again. Alright. The next thing we want to talk about. Gas or throttle. When you're starting your Solex, first time you got to the start point, nerves there, everything shaking. I don't know what you're at, but that's how I was. a lot of people, they will start the course. We're not talking about the actual launch of the vehicle on the start line, but you're going down the straightaway and they're very hesitant to floor it. For some reason, you know, nerves, whatever, they will actually give it half gas and they're looking at the other corner, the first corner coming up, and they're a little hesitant. The car designed to do that. Whatever brand it is, it could take it. Right? So as soon as you can give it gas, floor it. What I recommend, high-powered vehicles, obviously you cannot floor it from the start. Right? You have to kind of modulate the accelerator pedal and give it in as fast as the wheels will not break traction. Low-powered cars, which tend to be a lot of the cars that run on solar legs, you can literally floor it, no problem. The transition from gas to brakes, that's another typical error of amateur drivers. We come up to the corner fast. We approach the corner either two ways. We either hit the brakes too early or we hit the brakes too late. Let's say we hit the brakes too early. So you see the brake light come on, blink on, blink off, blink on, blink off. And then the guy realizes, you know, I'm modulating the pedal because I came in too slow. I hit the brakes too early. And then he tends to overdrive the corner now. And when I mean overdrive, he actually enters the corner at a faster speed than he should. And because of that now, he's so concentrated on turning the car that his foot might be on the brake pedal, possibly still on the brake pedal, or he has little time to get back onto the gas. So he overshoots the corner and he's late onto the gas coming onto the corner. I don't know if you can understand that. Add anything to that? Alright, so that's the thing about throttle. The best way to go around the course with whatever car you're coming with and using the gas is to be smooth. When you're on the throttle, you go onto the throttle smoothly, you go onto the brakes smoothly. Everything is about going through the corner and transitioning from gas to brakes in a smooth fashion and then back to gas. Right? I can tell you that is my typical way of going through a corner. And over the years, I found that is the fastest way to go through the corner. Nice smooth action. Everything comes into play. Nice smooth action with the steering. Nice smooth action with your feet on the pedals. And a nice smooth action with shifting the gears. Alright?
Question. Easy question. So, what do you recommend for an amateur driver? You go into a corner and maybe you want to brake earlier because you're just not sure what is the right entry speed. So if you brake and you realize you brake too early, do you continue with the brake and then just transition to gas alone rather than coming on and off the brake? What would you recommend would be the best approach?
Your instincts are correct most of the time. When you go on the brakes too early, your instinct to go back on the gas or come off the brake pedal, just come off the ease off the brake pedal, modulate, and then go back on it. That's the best you can do at that point. But I always used to tell people, and this is what I taught myself, when I realized that I was coming in the corners way too early, I used to actually, it should work for some people, it might not work for others. I used to actually, I was about to hit the brake pedal. Yeah. I knew that I was always hitting the brakes early. I used to say 1,000 and then.
Okay.
Right? I don't recommend it for everybody. I think his practice will tell you when it is.
Heavier your car is, you know, it's more inertia in car, more momentum in car kind of corner. So you know the brake a little earlier. Somebody with a small light car like Larry, you know, if it was Larry mash brake, right? Don't try to underbrake Larry in a corner, right? He will go right up the front at the very last minute, then go on the brake because the car very light. The car gonna stop real fast in a very short distance. When I first started doing this, what I used to do in the beginning, to brake really late because my car could brake late. I'll wait until I start to feel afraid and deliberately hold back mashing the brakes and then mash the brakes. Right? Something I just tell some people is that to go really fast, you have to really control your mind. Right? Yeah. It's all about it's a mental thing.
Mental.
And when your brain telling you, like you're customer driving on the road, your brain telling you, okay, mash brakes. You just pull off after the second and then you mash brakes. Right? The same thing with throttle. Where normally you're driving on the road, your brain will tell you, okay, back off now. But if you're racing, you have to ignore your brain and control your right foot and keep your foot there. Right?
Richard, really and truly, that is all a matter of practice. You're not going to get it.
One
I
chance.
found that what he said there, and what I used to do, I always found that helped me to learn that faster. Right? The learning curve was a little faster when you did it like that. Right? But nothing else but practice will get you at that. Right? It's the same thing, I mean, typical you going home, a lot of the enthusiastic drivers, we know we're going home, we know the road, and we know at a certain hour we won't have a lot of traffic. You know, you'll tend to know, yeah, this is a corner, I can hit the brakes at this point before, you know, turning the corner safely or whatever. It's the same thing. Right? But you could try what he said, or you could try the 1000 and see if that works. Right? Well, we're talking about throttle and we're talking about brakes at the same time. I mentioned that you're on the brake pedal, you tend to modulate a little too early. Right? There is an advanced form of braking. Before I get to that, let's talk about typical straightforward normal braking. Try to do all your slowing down of your vehicle on the straightaway before the corner. Right? So you're coming up to a corner, might be 40 feet, 50 feet away. Nevertheless, when you go on the brakes, they actually say, they recommend, don't stomp on the brake pedal. Take a half a second to actually touch the brake pedal and depress it all the way down. Right? So don't just, right? Just hesitate and just kind of modulate down. Do all your slowing down on the straightaway and make sure you have enough time to go back on the gas. With most vehicles, that's what you need. Go back on the gas slightly to start turning into the corner. You want to be on the gas, you don't have to be floored, but you typically want to be on the gas slightly as you start in the corner. There's an advanced way to turn into the corner faster called trail braking. Moses, you want to talk about that?
You're doing fine.
Trail braking is simply you're coming into the corner, you're on the brakes on the straightaway, but because you know you're going to trail brake, you're actually on the brakes a little later than you would have been. And as you start the corner, you're entering the corner at a little higher entry speed than you would have been if you had just slowed down the straightaway, but your foot is still on the brake pedal slightly. So you're coming off, you're modulating the brake pedal as you start turning and you're coming off. But what that does is, for most cars, front wheel drive, rear wheel drive is a little more dangerous. But typical front wheel drive cars, that will actually induce a little oversteer, which means that the back of the car will step out slightly, and that helps you to turn into the corner a lot faster.
What is the clutch doing at that point?
Most of the times, you're supposed to select your gear before entry into the corner.
Yeah, but you have the clutch be pressed when you throw it into the corner or not?
No.
Back
Clutch is
on your
engaged.
gear.
Clutch is engaged. Okay.
Right? Some people do it like remember this guy who used to race here for years, Seville, William Barrow. He had a tendency every corner he would be on the clutch, not fully engaged in the gear, so he'd be depressing, which is what you're asking. But he'd also be left foot braking. So his left foot is on the brakes, trail braking slightly, and his right foot is just keeping the RPM up to a certain nice level in VTEC. You know? What's VTEC? 6,000, 5,000.
Yeah.
Right? So he would keep it in the power band, and he'd have his foot depressed on the clutch, and as he takes his left foot off into his gear, and he comes out the corner.
Certain front wheel drive cars like the Swift on them, if I do that, sometimes they get snapped and the back just comes around.
Yes.
So you have to modulate how you do it.
I'll tell you something though.
You have to learn your car.
Front wheel drive cars tend to understeer.
Plenty.
Rear wheel drive cars tend to oversteer. But anytime a front wheel drive car oversteers, when you overdrive it,
It's in a hurry.
Get a
that's
point.
the best thing. That's the best you can get.
You can induce a little bit of oversteer by hitting the e-brake while on the throttle. But
E-brake.
so that helps the car better.
Alright, so we're talking about oversteer and understeer. Everybody knows what oversteer and understeer is? Everybody novices? You're a novice?
I don't, maybe.
Alright, let me just... I get a typical
the model tire. Yeah.
Right. you want to come to this side? You can see? Or you see it from there? Alright. Understand. You come into a corner, you're on a nice race line, and you're coming in too hard. So you start to turn your vehicle like this. You're going for a nice race line, but you notice that the vehicle, instead of following where the direction tires are pointing and making a nice arc, it tends to do this. It's pointed this way, but the tires do this. And it's kind of crabbing out. That is typical understeer. Right? Everybody understand that? Typical oversteer. Same thing. You approach a corner, you're looking for a nice angle, nice arc, through fastest line through the curve. And when you turn the car a little bit like this, the back of the vehicle starts to step out a little bit like this. And you tend to do this. Nice little drift.
Yeah, that is.
It's typical. Right? So that's typical understeer, oversteer. Most of the cars that competed so next are front wheel drive cars. And I tell everybody, if you go into a corner and you start turning the corner with your front wheel drive car and you start hearing the little tire noise, best thing to do at that point, if you want to continue to do a good time, lift your foot off the throttle side. And the typical error they make is they continue to turn the car and they sometimes plant their foot on the power even more. So you hear the smoke, you see the smoke on the side, you hear the tire noise, right? That is a typical error, and that is the best way to correct understeer. Just lift your foot off the gas a little bit. What that actually does is throws the weight of the vehicle a little forward. So you actually have more weight in the front of the vehicle, and therefore you'll have a little more traction. Right? They actually say that oversteer, correct me if I'm wrong, anybody here drives a rear wheel drive? Anybody driving a right? Right. You can tell me if I'm wrong, but I think they actually say with a rear wheel drive car, it's the same thing. If you start to oversteer too much, so lift your foot off the throttle a little bit. Is that correct? Or modulate?
Gotta modulate, you gotta.
No. I don't not say.
Yeah.
Right? So what you normally do in a situation like that?
Right, come off slightly.
And then there's a fight with the steering and the throttle.
Yeah, the feel what's going on.
You'll demonstrate that first.
Right. Right now from the test is just funny. That is the problem I have.
David. Race lines and then I'll do the side of it. Alright guys, Devi, on a track like this, right, should it be better to set up a track for oversteer? That's a good question. That's a real good question, and in my opinion, I think most of the race car drivers will tell you that oversteer is always better than understeer. So I have my car set up in such a way that it has a rear stabilizer bar, makes it back a little stiffer, and if I overdrive my car, it doesn't really understeer, it oversteers. The reason they say it's better is because with oversteer, it's easier to control. You could get out of a sticky situation when your car is oversteering, hence drifting, like what you was talking about, than understeer. Understeer, when you get into trouble and the car is understeering and you're really in trouble, it's kind of like that's it. Right?
Hello.
Yeah, offline here, but one of the best mods you can make for doing autocross solo X events for a front wheel drive car is concentrate on stiffening the rear of the vehicle. And it's the opposite for rear wheel drive cars. Right? We know that front wheel drive cars tend to understeer, rear wheel drive tend to oversteer. So you need to concentrate on the side of the vehicle that gives you more trouble. Right? Sorry, the opposite side. So front wheel drive cars, my recommendation, first mod, good tires. Second mod, stiffer rear stabilizer bar. You don't even need the one that everybody likes to put in the front of the vehicle. Don't worry about the front. Concentrate on the back.
What about springs?
Springs, your suspension system, shock and springs will make the biggest difference on any vehicle. So a good set of shock and springs will really be best. But don't get me wrong, the best mod you can make at Solo X autocross events, tires. It's the biggest one you can make.
bigger tires in front and smaller tires in the back normally induces oversteer. If you have a wider tires in front and skinnier tires in the back, helps the back of the car comes out more. Well, in Hondas it does that. So if I run in 225s in front and 195s in the rear, the back tends to be a little more
what you're
tail
saying
happy.
there, at first I thought maybe you were wrong, but when you think about it, that would mean that you have a lot more traction on the front.
Right, so the back
And your
swings
grip
out.
in the back is reduced now.
Yeah.
Alright, yeah.
So that helps with Hondas.
I won't do that.
But I have that
Just
kind
look
of
wrong.
I have a kind of setup like that in my car and it helps.
Oh yeah, we have another pro here. Alright. We're just gonna demonstrate apex of a curve. Right.
You put your mouth in and out here. You line up. You
Okay.
every now and then.
We have a typical Solenex corner here. Let me draw the right. So we have some cones. You have your pointer cone there. Fastest line through this would be not like this. This is wrong. A lot of people tend to do this. They come in from here on the inner part. They turn here and then they crab the car harshly and they turn this way. So that's wrong. Correct way.
Different color?
Yeah, try use different colors because we can't see when you write in the back here.
You gotta take a drover wrong in black and put right in red,
Red.
or something.
Oh, draw wrong in red, good in black.
Yeah, wrong in red. We go for them one go. Let's stop. Sorry.
Directional arrows too would be nice.
Correct.
No.
Thank you very much. Right.
Right. Typical amateur driver tends to see, he's coming from down the road, right? And he sees this corner in front of him. Typical, he may not be crossing to look ahead, so he sees this corner, he passes and he's straight through it. And he sees this corner, and the first thing he does is just turn the steering wheel. Hence the sharp turn here. He just lost a full second right here. At this point. Right? So at this point here, he just lost a full second. And then he headed now because he sees this gate. And he wants to head straight through it as fast as possible. He sees the next point down the road and he's looking at it. So that's a typical amateur approach. He just lost a second here to see Moses, who has really picked up on his race line. The best race line is a gentle arc through the whole thing. And everybody understands why this is the fastest way through, right? The whole idea is you don't have to turn the car as much. You know what I mean? You don't have to turn the car as much as with this. Right? I want to draw this. Right, novice again. Correct entry. Typical behavior. And as he reaches this point here, he loses it, he sees the next corner up in front, and he crabs and turns the car harshly and he does this. This is the correct line. Let's see this one thing. Alright? Moses used to do that. Jen, you do that still? Right. The point I'm trying to make is a nice gentle arc is the best way through. Alright? In terms of holding your steering wheel, you enter your corner, it's a 90-degree turn, you turn the wheel, gently turn the wheel, so you're on a nice arc here. You hit the apex, which is considered this point right here. You hit the apex of the curve, but don't crab and harshly turn the wheel to follow the course that you're seeing ahead. You know, the whole idea of the shortest distance from point A to point B is a straight line. It doesn't work like that for racing. Alright, the fastest way through is a nice gentle arc, and when you hit the apex, let the wheel back out gently. I didn't say let it go, but just let it. You'll feel it. You'll feel the resistance on the wheel. You'll feel the tires wanting to straighten the wheel out. You just let it straighten out naturally and continue a nice arc through. Even if there's a corner right here, you just let it go out gently and let it go out like that. And believe me, I guarantee you just cut half a second off your last time. If this is what you were doing before. Alright? With Solodex we have typical corners that fall and come up on each other really, really, really fast. And a question that a lot of people have asked me over the years is let's say we have so we have a corner like that. Best way through this is just drive it as fast as you can without understeer. That's the whole trick there. So you still do that today, huh? I do. Most of that picking in
It's fine.
Wait, have you done my glasses?
Oh Lord. It's typical, you know, you come up to tight 2 or 3 cones right up on each other, 15 feet apart. And the tendency is, coming in hard, let me see. I'm trying to make up as much time. Understeer here, lose it here,
God.
understeer all the way out here now. And you watch it down, oh God. You come in like Kester. And you turn and you understeer out here now, and oh no, I want to go this way. Right. So a slow corner that you really can't make up time, you just lost a second and a half.
Maybe more.
For what? Alright? So what my recommendation is when you come to tight corners like this, you simply drive it through as fast as you could on the limit of traction, but just drive it. Without understeer or oversteer. Right? And that's a typical what we lay out here.
Well, that's a lot of calculation before you reach your first corner so that you can trace the line gently going
But
in.
remember I was talking about that, huh? When you're doing your thing, you kind of look ahead. That's the importance of walking the course in the morning and knowing exactly what you need to do. Alright? Any questions about that? Anybody? Analyzing the course for race lines is the best way to figure it out. So you need to be there early in the morning. You need to, as soon as you open the course for walking, you need to walk through it. If you see me walking out there, you'll actually see me walking in as I'm the car. So I actually walk outside, back out to the outside of a corner, whatever. I like to do it like that. I find to me that's the best, easiest way to figure out your race line. Right? Interlinked corners are the key to doing the best times because you get the first corner correct and then you screw up the second and the third corner. The advantage you just picked up on the first corner, you just lost it on the second and the third corner. Right? I know you had some challenges like that at the last, Richard.
Okay, you challenge it. I can't remember which one.
David, anything you want to add to the race lines there?
One thing, I read a book a few years ago, like Bob Bondurant. I'm sure many of you know Bob Bondurant. Yeah, very famous sports car racer driver. He taught me something. Every car is different, right? And every car will drive a course differently. When you really know your car, you have to be able to analyze the course and know where your car is the strongest on the course. In other words, you have to drive that particular car to the maximum on those corners where you know the car is strongest. If you screw up a corner that your car is supposed to really be quick over, you're going to throw off your race. Right? And that's a little pointer. That's something I always remember. For example, if you have a small light car like Larry's car, I always talk about Larry car because I find Larry car real bomb, right? No, because I like the car really quick. That car is very, very quick. You know, on a slalom, I sure he will be flat out, extra board on a slalom because the car is set up so well. It's small, short wheelbase, very light, very good brakes. Whereas somebody now with a slightly heavier, bigger car is going to have to slow down a little more on that slalom, right? So every car is a little different. You have to know your car, know where the car is supposed to be strong on the course, and try to maximize your driving on that particular part of the course. That's something to remember.
Use 1 second.
had a question about braking points and accelerating points and that kind of thing. But what we're going to do is, after we finish the basic thing we're talking about here, this is the actual track that we're going to run now. This is the karting track. So afterwards, I will just kind of run through and draw your race lines and your brake points for typical cars. Every car is different. Lighter cars, later, heavier cars, earlier. Right? I wanted to talk a little bit about tires and tire pressure. Really and truly, the best mod you can make at Solex, I know I said it already, but say it over and over because this is true. Best mod you can make at Solex events or cross events is tires. This is actually a better way to do than the rest stabilizer for a front-wheel drive car. Right? On a 1 minute course, we've seen at ARC, we've actually seen cars that ran with street tires and then put on race tires. They did let's say they did 60 seconds. They dropped to 58 and 57.5 just with same driving habits, same lines and everything. But they switched the race tires and they dropped 2.5 seconds, 2 seconds, right? So your tires are the most important thing. Remember, this is what is contacting with the ground. So all that fancy everything that you want to do and whatever, this is what touching the ground. Right? And this is what giving you traction, this is what giving you your braking, this is what giving you your acceleration. And one of the biggest mistakes that a lot of people make is tire pressure. I know a lot of people come up to Solex and they've come from doing a couple of drag racing events. And they will come up and I'll ask them, what tire pressure is you running? And you tell me 22, or 21, or 24. Well, why? Because, and their explanation is, well, at drags, we lower the tire pressure so we get more contact surface. So, yeah, but that's in a straight line. Now you have corners. Let's go and draw a cross section of a tire and a rim. Typical rim. Right, let's say this is your rim. And this is your inflated tire contacting with the ground, right? The whole thing is under heavy cornering, this flexes a lot. Your sidewall will flex. It actually may end up moving as much as this. I don't know if everybody can understand. If you're under inflated, right? Most typical street tires and their sidewalls are not that strong, right? So we compensate with going up with a lot of air pressure. Over the years, we realized that at Solex, at ARC, the course has gotten a lot rougher. Typical front-wheel drive car like a Swift, I run 33 psi in front by 33 psi in the back. Heavier cars tend to go up to 34, 35. I'm talking about cool weight. But every car is different. So what we recommend is get a piece of chalk or gypsum board and make a mark on your tire, like this. Do a couple laps and observe and see what is going on with the chalk mark. If you notice the chalk mark is rubbing off all the way down here, right? Your tire pressure is off. It means that your tire pressures are too soft, right? If you notice no chalk mark, like if you put the chalk mark all the way up to the top here, and you notice it is not touched, more than likely means that your tire pressure is too hard, so the top of the tire here is inflated higher, and this is what is contacting with the ground. Right? So that's too hard. The optimum is to have it so that you get even wear right across the treading, but it does not come down much on the side here. You want it right just about starting here. That is the best tire pressure for your vehicle. If your car is understeering or oversteering, you've tried a few laps and you realize, alright, my chalk mark looking good now, but I find you can't understeer. Well, more than likely what that means is the tire pressures front and back is wrong. You could probably beef up the back pressure a little bit to help induce a little oversteer, and that will balance your car out a little bit. Or it might be the same for the opposite for a rear-wheel drive car. Right? Somebody asked me the other day, they saw Kurt Kohing, one of the best drivers that came out of Solex Trinidad so nice so far. He was, after each run, they noticed him with a hose, right, and spraying water on the tires. I don't know if anybody saw him, but somebody asked me that, right? Right. The whole reason why he was doing that is, very often when you do 2 and 3 and 4 runs back to back, you overheat the tire. Tire pressures go crazy. They go from 33 cold, let's say 35 hot, and then you make 2 and 3 runs back to back, and you might end up at 38. And then you notice that the compound on the tire starts to look a little flabby and a little sturdy, and you know, that means that you're overheating the tires. So what Kurt does is he will, after each run, he will wet the tire down, and that immediately cools the tire down and helps to save the compound on the tire. Next run, his car is back up to the optimum tire pressure to start his run, and he's going to do a faster run or maintain his time. Right? I Google it. Yeah. All right. All right.
One more question. Yeah, I tried out some Chinese standards the last time, and I was only
Chinese?
at the edge. Yeah. I might not have the proper breakdown, but I think that's going to have to be PSI. So, is there anything else I could check to make sure that we're on the edge to get to the corner?
But what you're saying, you had a tire pressure of 33, and it was rubbing on the edges still?
So at the end of the day, the left side edge was wrong. So I didn't know if I change that
Well,
alignment or something.
yeah, well, I'm going to tell you, it could be a couple of things. It could be alignment, you have too much, what is it, the positive camber now, with the outside of the tires. Right. So you might have a little too much positive camber. It could be that the tires are moving like that because your suspension, the shocks aren't in the best working condition. Right? What else that could be? Typical amateur driving, we tend to, as I said before, we tend to enter the slow corners too fast and the fast corners too slow. But at the end of the day, the beginner tends to go home with his tires all nicely scrubbed up all around. And he's like, Weber, you know, this Ford real expensive, and look at my tires and whatever. It could be that. So you're over-driving the car for the day, and you've done all that on the steering, and you're scrubbing up your tires a lot.
I see some race cars have their tires like that kind of like something.
Yeah. That's put in negative camber. The whole idea is that if you think about it, you put your tires like this, and you go around a corner, left-hand corner, and what happens to the left side is it now straightens up like because your car is leaning, right? Right-hand corner, sorry, right? The whole idea is you will contact patch will increase on the tire that is important. That's the whole idea of negative camber. For our event, I don't ever recommend running more than about 1.5 degrees camber or 1.2 degrees negative camber. Kester, you have something to add there?
We actually run about the same, so because most of the things we run, but that's actually close to the camber that we run. We don't ever go
1.2, 1.3. Well, they actually say that when you have a limited slip differential, they recommend that you don't run too much negative camber.
Because it really is on the tire.
Yeah.
But what do you check those two? Two in or two out on the suspension?
Each car is different. Over the years, I've always put my toe straight. I find that works best for me with a little more negative camber, more than the limit of the vehicle, or right on the limit of the vehicle. As I said, if you have an LSD, reduce your negative camber a little bit. Any other questions? David, anything else? Something I wanted to talk about with the same race lines. The way I figured out race lines, and some people might quarrel about this, but I found that when I was first introduced to what is the apex of a curve, what is a race line, I found myself getting pads, drawing pads, typical drawing pads, and just doodling an imaginary course, and taking a pen and drawing the race line through it. You know, you have nothing to do, whatever, you just doodle a couple courses and you do that. Or you're on your way home from work or whatever, and let's say, or you're on your way home at night, not much traffic. I'm not talking about overspeeding or speeding here. I just found out it was nice. A good way to learn race lines was you're coming up to a 90-degree corner, I would swing on the outside and cut through the corner and then come back out and let the car drift out. I'm not talking about, not recommending over speeding or anything like that, but this is the nicest and easiest way to learn these kind of things like race lines. I mean, we have 10 events at Dragonwine, we have 10 events at Solar X, but the seat time at these events is not much. If you really want to learn it, you can try these things. Right, I think that's about it. In a nutshell, basic. Anything else, Chad?
Let me just add, if you guys like really enjoy driving, it literally boils back down to seat time. I mean literally boils back down to seat time. So as much as you can do it, do it. And I'm not talking about on the street, I mean like coming out here and literally putting it all out is really about that. Once you decide that, hey, I really enjoy this sport, as much as you can come out, definitely come out, because every time you come out, you are going to get better. No two ways about it.
Remember, autocross is precision driving. I know I said it before, but the Formula One, they're doing their courses, their circuits at a much faster rate, but they don't have corners coming up on them every second and a half, or 2 seconds. Right? We typically might have 50 turns to make on a Solar X course. As I said before, there's 50 points that you can make mistakes and lose time. What we wanted to do now is we wanted to go out to the center point. Actually, no.
There should be lines up.
Yeah, but easy running. We're going to analyze the course. Right. So we're starting around here. Alright, first turn. Nice and wide out. But I'm also thinking about this turn here. So I'm not going to hit this point here like this. But I'm actually going to swing over a little bit here. Alright, so the first corner, I changed my race line slightly because of the second corner. Third corner, nice and wide out. Clipping the apex here, and then letting it drift out all the way here. This one is one of the hardest corners on the track. But all you need to do is remember wide out and let it drift out again on the exit. Using all the trap and setting up the next one. Same thing here. Right, and I think at this point I'll ask Moses to come and show me his race line. Come Moses.
Should be your race line.
Or Dwayne.
Dwayne, go and show it. Go
Who wants
and
to
show
try?
it. Larry, go now.
Larry know exactly what he's doing. I can't help somebody.
Who don't know what to do? Novice.
Sorry. Dwayne, come next year. Try it.
Go and show what you do.
Show me what you would do in the next one. Alright, good. Anybody have anything to say about that? What do you think about Richard?
Yeah, look decent to me.
Probably my further lines.
Okay, that's good. That's actually, it shows that Dwayne came out here, he's thinking, all the game is thinking about his point. So he's looking ahead. Right? So, typical novelist would have thought about this corner, and by the time he got here, he would have been in trouble. More likely approaching here.
At that, yeah.
And he'd be going too fast.
On the
By
stay.
the time he hit the brakes and that, he'd understand all out here and lose a half a second right. Right? Richard, come on, finish off. would have done this differently. They would have come in here and turned in sharply here. And then they would have tried to turn sharply here. Lost half a second, a full second of doing before. Double apex corners, basically what they tell you is drive it at one corner. One nice big arc, one corner. That's it. Anybody have anything else to add there? Andre?
I see some of these lighter cars with race tires take that corner the way you explained it just now, tighter. Mainly Chris. Chris hugs that corner right or wrong instead of doing that racing line.
Well, just remember, this is not the exact what we have looked at. We just
Right,
look
yeah.
at the board here and what we see here.
It's
Right?
just
But
Chris hugs the whole corner because his car is lighter and much more stickier. So he doesn't use the line. He hugs the corner. And well, he does the straight away on the Salam. He does goes straight there. But because this guy is lighter and much more stickier, he does that.
well, with the race tires, you'd be able to take angles and corners a lot harder.
Yeah, a lot harder.
A lot sharper than
Normal cars, yeah.
street tires.
Because I tried that with my car and I understeered all the way out, scrub the tires.
Would that have a lot to do with type of car and power the car puts up?
Yes, yeah. Each individual car is different. We know that.
The less power you have, you're going to take that corner because you're breaking track.
Every truck has more or less very
It could also be a case of what I was explaining earlier on, where a corner is very close. I mean, we draw in a track here, but really and truly, this is only separated by 20 feet, maybe 30 feet. So really and truly, Chris is probably driving the optimum. He's not really following the race line because he knows that, you know what, it's a tight turn.
Tighten.
I might as well just drive it.
Yeah.
Right? Less room for error.
Yeah, I was going to say, you mentioned this now with the front cars, and that's very true. Because even at the top here, if you have a hard accelerating car, right, harder than the typical front wheel drive for this spinner, and you pull from here and you see that straight line there, right, if you pull and accelerate straight through, your exit speed going into the straight will be a lot higher. Now, another way to look at this is where's your finish, right? Because if it is you want to finish all the way up here, you want to maximize the straight if your car is a hard accelerating car in a straight line as opposed to the corner.
That's a good point that Andrew makes.
So that's something you have to look at as well, where finish is. Because I accelerate hard and then realize you're not coming into your sweet spot and you have a mash brakes to go in a box. Right? So
That's a good point.
one of the rules about slow in, pass out, you have to also look at, as you say, anticipate what's happening next. Because am I going typically slow in, fast out to stop hard? Okay? So there's different techniques, as you say, on different cars. So
Let's talk about that
that's something I
slow
want to
in,
mention.
slow in, pass out. I'm sure everybody heard that, right?
Before you continue, I just want to point out that Moses only knew how Chris does take that corner because he does marshal. Yeah, that's great to watch
Excellent.
how to see how Devi does take it, to see how Pete does take the corners, to see how Chris, all the good people, all
Good
the
drives,
you know, experienced drivers come to
Marshall and Mako.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Find that corner that you're having trouble with
And go
you
marshal
know
it.
about and watch exactly how
Exactly what you said.
Yep.
Yeah.
Even better if they have a similar car to yours.
I think something I should recommend to the newcomers to this, if you want to do further. Yeah, everybody like power and like to feel nice, but less power you can't have and you can't handle it.
Yeah, Mom.
Really good.
Morning, I'm in the car park across the highway. I was driving school this morning, so I went to sit down and watch you driving school.
And just ring me on this course.
I was driving school here this morning, so I crossed it.
I
crossed in the car park? Yeah. No, he left this morning. Yeah.
No, but that's what Chris does.
What-
Chris is the guy
Well,
who drives the
doing
yellow
time
lights.
like probably later one
That
doing
car is
even
probably,
I'll ask him to come over with me.
100 and, no, not even 100 horsepower. Where's Larry?
Alright?
That's about
If you
96
find out a way to
horsepower,
bring it down, that would be cool, but if not,
Where's
later when I'm going home.
Maybe,
Let's talk.
right? And
Okay.
he beats
Alright, where's
and
VC?
is competitive against
Alright.
Evolutions and Subarus and S14s and 50s. He's embarrassing sometimes. Right? So, that's a good point. The slow in, fast out rule, I'm sure everybody has heard that, but really and truly, it does work, and it is absolutely true. You enter a corner nice and slow and tight, proper race line, proper modulation of your brake pedal, get on the gas properly, and you accelerate out to the corner, nice and easy. And while you're in the middle of the corner, you're telling yourself, wait, but this feeling so slow. Oh, I really need to mash the gas. And you stomp on the gas pedal, John. Yeah, you stomp on the gas pedal a little more because you know you're telling yourself this feeling so absolutely slow. And you throttle down a little harder, and then you start hearing understeer. And then you might realize, oh shoot, that's what we talked about, you know. I just lost half a second right there. Right? Over the years, I can tell you, I drive these courses, and every single time I'm out there and I'm coming out of a corner and I'm just modulating, coming onto the gas, it feels so slow, and then when you come and you finish, yeah, Andre on the mic, hey, Devi just did a blistering time there, you know. So forget about how it feels, and that is the correct thing to do, and it's only through practice and practice and practice, you'll get it right.
Yeah, just to add to that, now when you say slowing, we ain't slowing down like if you're going for groceries, As you say, you're modulating, you're running on the threshold of your tires, slowing down into the corner. The next thing I gotta remember to that is if you're slowing into a corner, the point that your tires getting loaded the most is actually at the hardest part of the corner, the point where you feel most lateral G's. Right? That is where your tires will want to slip. So again, it's about anticipating that point. So you're modulating your tires to that threshold point, not the threshold point of your tires going in. Because slipping going straight into the corner and slipping sideways is two completely different speeds, energies on your tires and on your car. Right? So you're modulating, as you say, coming in, anticipating the threshold at the peak point of side loads of the tire. Once you do that, trust me, coming out, you're looking like Devi.
Alright guys, that's it for the theory part. What we want to do now is actually go out to that 180 turn there, and I'm hoping that Larry can demonstrate the wrong thing to do, and then the correct thing to do. Right?
Hoping he could do this,
yeah, hoping he could do it.
Oh.
Alright, so let's all go. I want all of us to go out there, as though we marshal them. Let's go into the middle of the apex.